Namaste everybody. Today we're going to talk about sameness with exception, and change. Now, people are going to say, what has this got to do with shoes, Vicki? And it is something that I learned from NLP. I'm a master practitioner for neuro-linguistic programming, which is a wellness coaching training. And this is something that I use all the time, and you will find very, very useful in your life moving forward if you choose to embrace it. So let's get started. We have sameness people, and the reason that you want to learn this is to understand what drives us every single day. So for example, sameness people love to have things exactly the same. They don't like a lot of change, and an easy way for you to work out whether they are sameness or sameness with exception is to ask them about, say, their holiday, or just to get talking about something. And what you will find is that they'll use words like, it's very similar to, I really like going back there because it's the same place. Like, we've got a family member who loves her cruises. Her and her husband go on cruises all the time. I mean, because of the pandemic, that kind of blew that out for them. But it was almost every single year that they would go on a cruise. Cruises are their bag. They are sameness people. They have lived in the same house for 20 odd years, probably even longer now. And with sameness people, they don't like change. They resist change. So once every they do a change, and it's normally in between between 7 and 25 year mark, but quite often it's around the 20 to 25 year mark. So if you look at their CVs, you'll see that there's a change once every 20 odd years. They might shift a house once every 20 odd years. And the more sameness that they are, the more the longer they are in that particular category. So one of the things, like for example with shoe wearers, is like they are very proud that they've had their shoes for 25 years. And you can tell. Like, I know I've got one gentleman that I can think of, and he's kept his shoes from when he was on the farm. And I'm not too sure, he doesn't fit them. They're very well used. So it's kind of like, well, what are we going to do with these shoes now that you're 20 years older and probably never going to wear them again? But it gives you an idea of, I like the same thing. Even when they go shopping, they'll buy similar shoes. So they'll go out and they'll buy the same pair of boots or a similar pair of boots with the same color, quite often the same brand. It's just the more updated version of it. So it's quite common. Like, if you open somebody's shoe cupboard, and you look at their shoes, you might see a pattern. Like, they're all brown or they're all black. They might be all high heels. They might be flat black. Then it goes up to the next level. Then it goes up to the next level with a bit of a heel, and then that's the high heel. But they might all be black, or they might be black with a little bit of bling. But they're typically the same, or the same kind of style in all cases. So now we've got another version, which is sameness with exception. Now, people who wear this particular shoe type like things a certain way, but they like to have it where there's change. Okay, so they'll be in a situation where these typically like changes around the 7 to 15 year mark, and even can drop down to the 3, but it's normally around the 7 year mark that they like to have their sort of shift. So you know that 7 year ish that they talk about in relationships, that's quite often what it is that they're quite often the sameness of exception. They're looking for something more. They're always looking for something a bit different. But sameness like to have their base, and they like to go out and then they come back again. So they like to improve. They're constantly improving, constantly looking to get better. They're constantly building out. but they don't want dramatic upset, dramatic change. So shoe wearers of this type, okay, might be, let's go back to the black shoes that I was talking about before. It might be that you might have those shoes but a slightly different color. So you might have, you know, I don't know, a gray pair and then a black pair, but they're the same sort of style. Or it might be that you have a black pair of sandals, and then you go into the next level of sandals and it's the thicker heel with a bit of bling on. Then you might go into the next level and it's the kind of practical work shoe, and it's black but it's plain. It might be that you go to the next level and it's more of the evening dress shoe, and it's the higher heel with a bit more bling on it, maybe different leather, maybe patent leather, something that's got a bit of variety to it, but it's not too much, it's not over the top. Or if it is, it's something that can be added and then brought back again. But you might find that, you know, they're similar shoes but in a different color with a bit more bling on. So you get the idea. It's that progression, it's that extension. They're quite often people who are projects orientated and bringing in something new, often, you know, improving the house, improving. Do you know who's a really good example of this is Sandra Bullock? Apparently she doesn't have one home that's actually been finished. She keeps, I don't know if this is still the case, but I do remember reading an article about it, that she's got all these different homes all over the place and she's constantly improving them. She's constantly got another room being added or renovated, or a wall being knocked out, or she has scaffolding quite commonly in most of her houses that she owns. And I thought that is just so, that is so sameness with exception. That is such a typical scenario. So it's you know, start noticing, like when you look at your shoes, when you go into your cupboard and you have a look at it, you go, they're all the same. I've got more of a leaning to be towards the sameness, or I've got the sameness with exception, and I like to have a little bit of, you know, a little bit of different but not too much. So sameness with exceptions can accept change a lot easier. They quite often will seek a bit of change if they start getting restless, if they don't get that. And just be aware of those, like, oh, I noticed you wore this one, oh, you're wearing different shoes today. So, you know, a person might wear a set of shoes for work, for example, because they have to wear that particular shoe type. So do be careful that you don't immediately slot them into, say, the sameness. But you might find that the exception might be the laces, it might be the decoration they put on the laces, it might be you know, same shoe style but a different make, or slightly different higher heel, or something different. So just start noticing with your peers, like what, not only just you, but what your peers are wearing and what your family tends to wear. Then you've got the change people. Now, change people are the spontaneity guys. They like something completely different on a regular basis, and you can totally upset the apple cart and they love it. They embrace change. They think it's great. They like something funky, different, in whatever world that works for them. And they just kind of go with the flow, and yeah, they're comfortable in that sort of environment. So like, I know this one lady, oh man, she's got a lot of shoes, hey? And she doesn't like, she does like to stand out. So again, she is more of, she's a high end, this particular lady I'm thinking of is a high end 4 in the Enneagram. And if you haven't had the time yet to go and review that, they're quick videos, you can just listen to them at the beginning of the channel. The Enneagram number 4 likes to be different, and this particular lady, she likes to be really quite out there and make a statement. And she is quite comfortable with change. She changes jobs every 2 to 3 years. And you see, again, you can just look at somebody's CV. say, how often have you changed jobs? And if it's 2 to 3 years, you immediately know that you're dealing with a changed person. With who, honestly, I don't know if I've ever seen her wear the same shoes twice. I mean, it's quite possible that I haven't noticed. There is that. You know, you're not looking at people's feet the whole time. I mean, I get that. But it is quite interesting that she spends a lot of money, and she really doesn't tend to wear those shoes very often in my experience, but I don't get to see her quite as often as perhaps on a daily basis. So that might be a different story. So do you always put things in context when you do come across this? But, you know, it's very high, very expensive shoes that she tends to wear. They are bold colors. They're like yellows and bright reds and floral and patterns, and some with laces, and some, you know, that cover the ankles. It's all to do with very smart, presented stuff for work. So that indicates that she likes to be the high flyer, which she does go for, and she likes to be different. So that immediately tells me that she is a high change person. After seeing someone wearing different shoes solidly, say for a month, you can pretty much be sure that they're in the change category. Okay, and change people get aggravated by the sameness people, and the sameness people get aggravated by the change, because sameness don't like change and change want change, so they don't like the sameness stuff. So it's being aware of like that in an environment like, oh, I've never really understood why I clash with that person. Oh, well, you're change and I'm sameness. And then the guys in the middle are, oh, that's quite fun and different. It's a bit too much change for me, but they might embrace some of the change, not all of it. So it's just becoming aware of that. Now, I hope that you found that really useful. This is all coming together quite nicely, isn't it? So if you agree with me, that, you know, please do give me a thumbs up. What would be really useful is if you wouldn't mind sharing, are you sameness with exception, or do you think you're a change person? You know, when you look at your shoes, do you go, oh my gosh, they are literally all the same, I've never noticed that before? Or, oh yes, you know, I do like to have a bit of change, and I've always thought that I did, but I've never really, you know, cemented it in my consciousness that that's actually what it is. Anyway, share your thoughts with you either in the channel down here in the comments box, or across over in the Facebook page, and we can go from there. And I would love to know what your thoughts are and how you're finding this is all coming together. Isn't it amazing how much we can tell just from the shoes that we wear and what the other shoes that other people wear? I think it's fantastic. I hope you do too. Thank you so much for your time, everybody, and you have a wonderful day. Namaste.